I would like to start off the pod by saying that I wore jeans for the first time in maybe 2 years. Like properly wore jeans
Okay.
for like the full day. And honestly, I don't know what people see in them.
They're not the comfiest.
They're not.
I mean, I guess they're more for looking nicer, I guess.
I guess.
But
Yeah.
I rarely wear jeans. I've got like one pair of jeans that I wear rarely. And then most of my other bottoms are all like fucking comfy trousers, basically.
Joggers.
Joggers and yeah.
I don't ever want to go back to a world where I have to wear anything but joggers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like. I'm tired of sacrificing my comfort for other people's aesthetics or fashion or whatever it is that they hold dear.
Right. Fuck that. Do what makes you comfortable. Who gives a fuck?
Mm-hmm. How's your week been?
It has been pretty good.
Good. Tell me.
I mean, I've just been having a grand old time playing the shouty Pokemon, and the Nintendo Direct was pretty great, and I've just been having a really good time gaming all week, basically. So
I enjoy that. I love hearing that. You're thriving at work.
I am thriving.
I love to hear it.
It's great fun.
I love to hear it.
Oh.
Well, welcome to the pod, listeners.
Welcome.
This is episode 367?
Close 27.
Oh, 27.
I believe.
What a wonderful 27 episodes it's been. I mean, if you think about it, we're just under, or like just under halfway through a year or a year's worth of podcasting.
Just about a year will be.
And I don't really want to do it for the rest of the year, to be honest. So,
Rahi Healy.
No, I actually really love doing this podcast. I don't know, I like just phoning you up and just having a good old chinwag about anything and everything, and obviously the listeners get to be included in that phone call.
This is basically our catch up as well. So
I mean, because like as comfortable as we are with each other, we're not exactly like sending each other messages every day, being like, "What are you doing? You know, what's planned for the day?"
Exactly. As you get older, you just don't have as much time for that. I mean, even just like a few years ago, it would be every weekend our group of close friends would all come to my place and we'd all hang out just about every weekend, and even outside of that, other times of the week we would sometimes hang out in that. But that's just not how it is anymore. It's very rare now that we actually have like everybody over to hang out like we used to.
The thing is, like, the older you get, the more I guess the more complicated your life gets. So, and I mean, that's just kind of like, that's just how it is across the board. How it's always kind of been that the older you get, I guess, the less you socialise.
The more
maybe.
I mean, the older you get, the more responsibilities and commitments you have to other things, the less free time you have in general. And like, even if you are always free, like you're saying, even if Oyas like are always free on Fridays, like when we used to hang out, because of how much other shit you're doing the rest of the week, a lot of the times on the Fridays you're just like, I don't really want to go anywhere or do anything. I want to just kind of sit in to myself, you know. So even if you're free, it's still
there's
different.
Nothing wrong with that. You should never feel guilty for being like, guys, I'll catch me next time. I'm just going to chill, you know, find my own kind of vibe tonight.
Exactly. That's how it be, sadly.
And another thing about when you're getting older is, you have to do shit like go to the vets. I had to take Sasha and Lenny to the vets this week.
Oh, how was that? Was there anything wrong with them, or was it just a general checkup?
So it was like it was Lainey for her vaccines, like
Okay.
up-to-date vaccines kind of stuff, and Sasha just a kind of wee check-up at her teeth because she's getting older and her
Ah.
teeth are in a bit of shape. And well, firstly, I'd just like to say no one ever questioned vaccines when it was for their dogs. No one's like, I'm not giving a vaccine to my dog.
True.
You know, um, just for the people who are like, oh, maybe vaccines don't work. Well, tell that to your dog and how your dog's still here and how they're no deed. You know. Anyway, so I would like to relay the experience right now. I'm not going to make fun of any Americans. I'm just going to speculate wildly enough to let you do the jokes.
Okay.
Right. So I've been to this vet before, obviously, like just wee things, and the guy that I usually get is usually a nice guy. He's I think he's English, and he, he's like, oh, blah blah blah, they're fine, he's like, oh, we can do this, just like a vet or like a doctor,
Right.
The vet that I got this time was American,
Oh.
and like when I'm going in, Alan's like that, it's just a checkup, so it shouldn't cost any more than this. And I'm like that, right? Okay. So I go in, and like this American woman talks rings around me so fast that I've already got American health insurance with her, and like she gets a bonus because she signed me up. What I mean to say is, like, she was just basically like, oh yeah, so I seen you were on this medication months ago, so what we can do is we'll just start that medication again, and here's how to get it cheaper. She basically started off the conversation as if, oh yeah, this is an option, and then ended the conversation with, you've got it, like, it's on the receipt, you need to buy it now.
What the fuck?
And I was just like, that is such a big difference to me. Like, as I say, I'm not slagging Americans, but with the first kind of vet, it was just like, well, the animals are good. Here's what we can do. Blah 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 blah. That's fine. The American vet was like, she practically sold me everything in the shop. She was like, and you'll need this, and you'll need this, and you'll need this, and this will happen, and this will happen, and like it wasn't like she looked at Sasha's teeth, right, and she was like, now I like to plan for worst case scenario, and I'm like, well, so do I. And she goes, I got, minimum about 800 quid.
What the fuck?
And I was like, my dentist didn't even charge that.
Aye.
I couldn't believe it. And it just kind of planted this idea in my head that if she's American, then obviously the way that healthcare and medical care kind of work is it's sold.
That is a thing. In the US, it's a business.
It's a business, exactly. So, I'm absolutely astounded, flabbergasted that I'm walking out spending nearly double than what I planned to spend. But I guess that's the American way. That's the American dream.
The American dream.
The American dream. As I say, I was just kind of like, she wasn't even talking to me. It was like if I could compare it, it was like when I used to work for insurance, and people would phone up and they'd be like, oh, I'd like to get a quote for a policy. And it was just like, I'd never known. That's what I felt like. I felt like I was just being sold, as opposed to, you're meant to be here looking after my dog.
Aye.
Stop selling me shit when I'm in a very vulnerable kind of way, because it's stressful taking your pets to the vet.
That's true. That's kind of it's kind of a shitty thing to try and like sell people on shit when they're in that kind of state where like you are in that headspace of, oh, maybe I should get this, because you're like worried and about their health and all that, so you're more likely to like agree to shit like that, because obviously you don't want to be the cunt that's like, oh, I don't need that for my dog, and then it's like, oh, I should have got that. But it's like, I
mean, the way that she was
man.
just talking rings around me, like, I maybe said all 3 words during our whole interaction. She filled the rest, and there was no silence, believe me. And it was all just, we're adding this on, we're adding that on. It's like she had control of my Amazon account, and she was just throwing everything in the trolley, going, aye, this is fine. I'm like, baby, stop trying to fleece me here. Actually, being fleeced at the vet. I couldn't believe it.
Fucking hell.
So that's been my week. You've been sitting loving it, living your Pokemon absolute fantasy. and I've just been getting screwed left, right, and centre.
Jesus. Did you ever see them? Did you ever see the TikToks? So it was somebody on TikTok basically posed a question to other people to like reply with, where they're like, "What's something that like changed your worldview?" As like it was like as someone who lived in America and then moved to another country, what's something you realised that changed your worldview? I feel like living in a foreign country now that's like so different, and like so many of the replies are people in like European countries not talking about how just different the healthcare systems are, like how they would like they're like, oh, I live in the Netherlands or something, and I went to fucking, I had to go get checked up, and I was so worried about how much it was going to cost me and all this, and then they go in and they're like, oh, how much do I owe you? And the doctors just kind of look at them like, what? You know,
why are you asking us that?
You don't pay anything. Like, what are you talking about? And they're just like, it boggles their mind that that's just how it is. Like, you just don't pay. You just go in, you get your shit done, and then they're like, right, see you later. There's no paying.
If I was traveling in America and say I didn't have any travel insurance, and I don't know, I slipped and fell and broke my ankle, I'd be doing about $8,000, and they would be adamant I'd be paying it. That would be really stressful for me. You know, the opposite.
Even just ambulance rides in the US costs a pure fucking fortune.
I don't understand it.
It's actually insane.
Like, it's weird. Like, I think the general principles of a good country or a good civilization or whatever it is like education, you know, good healthcare, good general cleanliness, you know, stop the spread of disease and stuff like that.
Yeah.
In America, it seems to be they have access to that information, but elect to ignore it. They're like, no, we'd rather make money.
It's that kind of crazy patriotism that a lot of people that's quite bad in the UK as well, for a lot of people, where they're so up their arse about how great their country is that they absolutely refuse to like even humour the thought of there being anything wrong with it. It's like, if this is the greatest country in the world, so our healthcare system is perfect and it does need to change, and if you even suggest that there should be any changes to the way it runs, then you are a communist and you fucking don't have a place here and go back to your own country and all this. It's insane. That kind of like crazy patriotism that they have.
Yeah.
And it's quite bad in the UK as well for a lot of people. Doing like, you see it as well with fucking people thinking like, oh, this is not how Britain used to be, and all these foreigners coming on, all that kind of crazy shit that they say. And you're just like, mate, you just don't know what you're talking about. You just don't. You're just spouting shite that means nothing, really.
Exactly. Like, I remember being younger and hearing all that kind of vitriol, you know, about like foreigners, and everybody will have that experience of, you know, the younger you are, the more racist the times seem to have been. And like, you know, when I grew up and, you know, you actually realise about the world and you realise that, well, Scotland particularly needs foreigners to come into Scotland and help keep up the population and the workforce and all that kind of stuff. So like we rely on foreigners because we don't produce enough people, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so weird that when even today with that information, like I still hear people being like, foreigners coming in here. And you're like, do you just want to like the world that you know around you just crumble?
Aye. Like, you just want like the economy to just like to fucking die because there all of a sudden isn't enough people doing jobs that need to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't just like what you on.
It's so weird. It's just such a selfish way of thinking, in it. It's just like, even though these types of people very rarely have done anything worthy or good for their country, still seek a claim on it. It's like, well, this is mine.
Aye,
it's like, well, what have you done? What have you done to build, boost, or help this country, other than just sit there and spew vitriol and hate?
That kid, I always hate that shit. When you see the videos of fucking people harassing foreigners in like the US or the UK, and they always say that it's like, this isn't my country. It's like, okay, just because you were born here, congratulations. Like,
you won a lottery.
what? It's like, it's not your country. It's like you would happen to be born here. Doesn't mean you have any right in saying who the fuck gets to be there.
I know.
Like, what are you on about? Absolute
It's
insanity.
it's it's just exactly, it's that kind of insanity where, like white people, especially in America, don't realise that, 600 years ago, they weren't there.
Aye.
Like, they just literally weren't there, like, at all, in any shape or form. They were just not there. So how is it your country?
To be so patriotic about a country that was founded by immigrants that then hates the idea of immigration. It's just the most insane shit.
It's just, it's that whole, you're happy to eat the sausage, you just don't want to see how the sausage is made.
Aye.
It's that whole kind of, they want their cake and they want to eat it.
It's crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. World's
So
fucking insane.
as I said, I wasn't going to slag any Americans. I was just going to let you all do it in your heads.
Well, I'll happily slag Americans for their stupid shit they say and do.
I mean, I think America could turn it around.
They could.
I think they could turn it around. I think it would take a lot of work, but I think they could turn it around. And I think America, what America thinks it is, it could be that.
Mm-hmm.
It could be like this really good bastion of like humanity, of like modern living.
A whole
But
hodgepodge of cultures coming together and, you know,
just a nice
living
little
together
mixing pot.
and mixing all together and all that. It sounds like a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
It really does.
I mean, when you think about the best of the best parts of Britain, chances are it's usually something that's been made by somebody internationally,
Right.
or someone out with Britain. Um, I don't see many people in Britain having British furniture. I see them having like IKEA furniture, or
sitting in their house talking about how much they love Britain with their Swedish furniture and their Japanese telly and their and their like German car
and their Indian curry for dinner.
And their Indian curry for dinner. Just fucking like, oh, Great Britain. It's like, oh, okay then, mate. What's one thing you own in your house that actually was made here? Fucking nothing, I bet.
Exactly. Patriotism for me is so weird. Like as Scotsmen, like I think there is a kind of, what would you call it? Like a negative kind of connotation that all Scottish people will die for Scotland. All Scottish people. And I can't say I'm that patriotic other than for protecting the kind of natural space, like the hills, the forests, all that kind of stuff. Like I don't look around and be like, wow, we are the best country in the world, and everybody should know that. I don't see that.
Yeah. The whole
But there is always, yeah.
the whole claim of being the best country in the world is an insane thing to try and say, because there isn't such a thing.
I mean, what's even the parameters in defining that? Because I guarantee you that nobody would meet those parameters.
No one country is the top in everything.
Mm-hmm. Except North Korea.
Except North Korea. Can't argue, man. Can't argue with their propaganda that they spout to the right people.
They are just the best, apparently. They, for people that range in a height of...
Kim Jong-un go a hole-in-one in a full 18-hole golf course. I mean, you can't argue with that. Clearly the greatest man in history.
He hit all 18 holes and won at the one time with the one ball.
Even so,
it was just superb.
Did he not also claim that he invented the cheeseburger or something? What's some of the insane shit that he said that he did?
I mean, that is wild. I invented the cheeseburger. Because
I'm sure there was some crazy shit like that he said.
There would be a lot of people that would have something to say about
that. Let's see if I can find anything. Oh god.
There was one rumor or something about him playing basketball and how he'd like scored all these kind of scores, and it's like his height's something like I'm just going to be generous and say 5 foot. Put it this way, it's not exactly a height that's going to be good for basketball.
I mean, it's just fucking what?
This one's on kind of subject of what we've been talking about. I'm just kind of looking up the craziest kind of stuff and rumors about Kim Jong Un. In 2020, he ordered all pet dogs to be confiscated in the capital of Pyongyang, saying the poochies represent Western decadence. But their owners feared their Fidos were really just headed for someone's dinner table amid a food crisis.
What the fuck?
I mean, best country in the world, apparently.
I don't know how. I'm on a website now, going through some of the ones as well, and some of them are just absolute insanity. Like worse, like even more insane than the things I thought I could come up with.
Mm-hmm.
They apparently claimed that they were able to cure AIDS and cancer. Apparently, North Korean researchers apparently found unicorns. They invented hangover-free alcohol. Oh, there's the fucking Kim Jong-il bowled a perfect game and made 11 holes in one. He was born under a double rainbow. Did he actually claim that? This is just like, what the fuck? It's like a child just coming in and lying about shit they've done, and you just stand there like, oh, did you? Aye.
Say half any of that was true. Would it even impress you?
I mean, the double rainbow one's just like, even if that was true, it'd be like, all right, who cares?
Yeah, I was born on a sunny afternoon.
This is fucking hell, man.
I mean, is he a patriot? Do you think, is he a patriot for his country with all this kind of propaganda, or?
I think he's a patriot for him fucking self.
Yeah,
pretty much.
You're right. I guess, like, in a way, a lot of patriots are just in it for themselves. They're in it to make themselves look like they are the ultimate national hero.
I mean, that's pretty much it. It's like he wants to spout himself as this like great man, so that the people don't ever like even question him in any way. It's like, oh, look at all these amazing things that him and his government have done, all his leaders and all that. How can you possibly question
somebody that's done all that?
Done? Like, when he's clearly such a great man, like all this crazy shit he's managed to do, and nobody else seems to be able to do.
You know, it's a wider kind of comment on like celebrity as a whole. Like, there's obviously like celebrities that work really hard to maintain a specific image, and then when something against that image comes out that say is true, you know, people don't want to believe it. They're like, oh well, why would somebody do all that good to then do that? You know, it kind of puts a spanner in the works of how the perception of that person.
Bad, man. People, I always, that's one thing I like about some. There's certain like streamers and stuff that I watch that are like, they'll always say like, listen, guys. Like, anytime that any kind of controversy like that like comes out about some like YouTuber or something like that, where they've been found out to be some like I don't know, they've been found out to be like a groomer or some crazy shit like that, and obviously they get like just dog shit piled on them and cancelled and all that shit, and they'll always have fans that'll fucking try and be like, no, it's not true, even they do that and all that. And I like that there's people I watch that like will talk about that shit happening, and they'll say to their audience, listen, if I ever get caught doing some crazy heinous shit like that, don't ever fucking defend me. Like, as soon as, if I ever do anything like this, immediately like stop liking me. Like, jump off the boat. Like, do not stay on this sinking ship.
Pick your
if I do something like this, and I'm like, I respect that they're like, that's what their ideals are. It's like, if I do heinous shit, do not fucking defend me. Just
leave. I mean, I think you really shouldn't kind of deify MD to a degree where if you hear something like that, where you're like, well, no, it couldn't have been them. You know, you really shouldn't put Indy on that kind of pedestal.
Aye.
I feel like it's just setting yourself up for disappointment.
I mean, it's crazy how many people, celebrities and all that, are able to do some heinous shit and just seem to have no repercussions to their career, and are still successful and can just do whatever, and can still do whatever they're doing. And like, I mean, a good example of that is a. Hold on, let me see if I can.
Well, it kind of goes back on what we were talking about earlier on, where if you have so much power, money, and influence, certain rules just don't apply to you because you can make them go away.
Laws are a suggestion to the rich.
Exactly.
There was a story that came out about a footballer. I don't know if you've seen it. Frankie posted about it in
I've seen it.
the
Yeah,
chat. It's pretty bad. Like, the fact that he did that and is still playing on a team.
Definitely.
Is fucking insane.
I mean, for those of you who don't know, I think it was a West Ham United player. I can't remember his name. Filmed himself in front of his family, kicking his cat and slapping his cat, and to him it was fun. It was like a fun thing to do, and you know, a lot of people, when he put the video up, severely disagreed that this was not a fun thing to do. And you know, I was arguing with, well, I wasn't arguing with a few people on Twitter, but I was talking to this guy on Twitter about it, and he was saying that it was about race. He was like, well, people are only calling for him to get or to lose his job because of his race, because he's a black player. And I was like, but it's nothing to do with race. It's everything to do with the fact that he's kicking a cat.
Like, what? That is,
you know, it's
insane.
nothing to do whether he was a 70-year-old Chinese woman or whether he was like a 13-year-old, I don't know, a Brazilian girl or whatever. It wouldn't have mattered. It would have been the act of like the animal abuse that was thingy, which was the thing that people were talking about. And he was like, this guy is like, oh, it's really not that deep.
It's
And
no. It's
I'm
really
like,
no.
I'm like, I'm sitting there and I'm like, right, this isn't Plato's Republic we're talking about here. This isn't like, you know, fucking War and Peace and a summary of it. This is a clear case of animal abuse.
It's that classic case of people that spout arguments like that over things where it clearly isn't the case. It just then weakens said argument when it's actually true. Like,
Definitely.
if you're the kind of person that's going to say, "Oh, you're only doing this or saying this because I'm this color, I'm a different color than you, I'm black or I'm Chinese or anything like that." It's like, "Oh, you're doing it because you're being racist," when it's clearly nothing to do with that. All that does is lessen it for other people when actual racist things are happening.
Exactly.
It's like, just why? Just you're a cunt. You literally are an animal abuser. You are a piece of shit. Don't fucking try and make it about. Don't try and fucking defend this person. Talk about how it's about race. It's nothing to do with that. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
People that do try and defend it, I feel, are just trying to kind of derail the conversation.
Aye, because clearly somebody's favourite football player who, for a team they really fucking love, because yet again, just like people who get too obsessed with celebrities, there are people that get way too invested in fucking sports teams.
Definitely.
And this is clearly somebody who cares more about their sports team being a good performance than they do about fucking animal rights and animals not getting fucking abused.
This one player obviously has made a very negative effect on the whole team. You know, there was sponsors pulling out. You know, there was obviously a consequence for this, whether or not he accepted responsibility or, you know, other people defended him or no. There obviously was the consequence, and the consequence was, man, that guy's a piece of shit. You know.
RSPCA took his cats away. Thank God.
Thank God. I mean, that is it is stressful in the animal being taken away from your home and stuff like that. But that animal has the opportunity to go into a home, you know, maybe a nice, quiet, loving home, because cats don't like, or as far as I know, cats don't like a lot of noise or a lot of roughhousing. They certainly don't like being kicked across the kitchen floor, as far as I'm aware.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I mean, the frightening thing for me is the fact that he did it in front of his family, and well, one, he was bold enough to do it in front of his family. Two, he was bold enough to film it, and three, he was even bolder enough to put it online.
The scariest shit about that, when you see that kind of thing to me, is like, if that's what he's willing to to video and post online, what kind of shit is he doing off camera?
100%.
Like,
and
he's like, oh, people probably shouldn't see this. If he's like, aye, people should see this. Everybody will love this. Like, what?
Do you know, I kept seeing, on Twitter especially, I kept seeing arguments saying, basically kind of try to minimalise it, saying, oh, well, it's just a cat. And I hate when I hear that, because I'm like, well, you're just a person, and there's 7.8 billion of us. Do you think the world would miss you?
Crazy.
Or do you know what I mean? Like, just because it's a cat or a dog or a frog, whatever it is, it still feels pain. It's still a living, breathing animal on this earth.
I'll show a lack of empathy. An absolute lack of empathy. If you can sit there and justify physically harming another living being like that, just abusing something like that, and be like, oh, it's just a cat. It's like, that is a fucking red flag.
Huge.
Like, Jesus Christ.
I mean, you know, I didn't like it. I really didn't like it. I didn't really. I hate when things like these become points of discussion in like news articles and stuff. Is that it just spreads the idea of animal abuse. You know, like more like people who had never considered kitting a cat in their life, and who either think that it could be okay because somebody else did it and he's a footballer and he gets lots of money.
Aye.
I don't.
A lot of young kids that probably look up to him.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking sad, man.
And,
it's really sad.
Kids don't have a good, like, a full perspective of the world. You know, kids might be the people saying, "Oh well, it's just a cat," because they haven't learned. You know, they haven't learned to empathise with, you know, things other than themselves. But that footballer, he is a grown man. He is a grown ass man, and he should definitely have known better.
Absolutely no excuse.
No.
Pieces of shit. On happier note, well, maybe a happier note. Did you see the Nintendo Direct that happened on Wednesday?
I've seen that Kingdom Hearts is coming to the Switch. Is that what you mean?
Well, that is one of the things that they announced. Well, they announced that a while ago, but I think there was just them showing it again for whatever reason. But all the collections and stuff in Kingdom Hearts 3 and that are all going to be on the Switch at some point.
Well,
so that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
Makes sense. Sora being put in Smash, and now they're putting the games on the Switch. Makes sense.
Did you hear that they are going to make a Kingdom Hearts series for Disney Plus?
What, like an animated series?
An animated series, yeah.
And I guarantee it'll have story elements that you have to know about before you play the next game that comes out.
I know. Well, I was thinking that it might. If Disney were smart, they would kind of do just the first game. Make that into like a first season.
Because the first game on its own, like story-wise, can like stand alone as a game, as like a story, without needing to know anything else. So it would be a good like jump-in point for people who have maybe never played the games. Because if they tried to base the story on the shit that's happening now, and people who've never played them was like, "Oh, what's this new series on Disney Plus?" They would just be so lost.
It would die. The series would just die. Like I can't see people enjoying it or being able to follow it. Never mind watch it.
It's insane.
But I think like going from the first Kingdom Hearts, I think that would be a really fun series. Because like the game, or Kingdom Hearts 1 especially, like the first few hours of the game, they're just a lot of fun. They're just kind of figuring out the world you're in. Nothing's too complicated. Nothing's You know, it's very simple. You fight on the side of good, and there's the dark side coming. But it did cross my mind that they might explore in the series different worlds.
That's
So
what.
obviously,
That's what I'm thinking.
now
Like,
that
how
Disney's
much?
got,
I mean, if it's getting put on Disney Plus, they very well could do that. Like, but it's kind of weird though, because like so many different characters across Disney's whole universe of characters that they have. A lot of those films have such different styles for their animation and shit. So what are they going to do with that? Are they going to stick to one style of animation no matter what world they go to? Or are they going to maybe like change it up for each one? Because they could do that. They could do like a. I mean, this isn't that close in vain, but that what is it, Death, Love and Robots? They could do a thing like that where it's like every new world they go to has got like a whole new animation style, which I mean would be a lot of fucking work to do something like that, but it would be crazy to do stuff like that.
I'd really enjoy it if they did, like they kept the animation similar to, at least for around Sora, like the animation in like Destiny Islands, like that kind of feel, like just like really, really physically representative. You know, that a palm tree's a palm tree, and it's not in, there's not an abstract, but I would like it when they do say go to like a place like Alice in Wonderland, that it completely changes.
Aye.
That it goes back to like
you needed to for stuff like that.
Because it's about being in that world.
Yeah.
And I think that, or what they could do is like say they visit Aladdin's world, and it's like back to that classic Disney animation in the 90s. Or if they go to like say like Moana's island, it's that kind of Disney Pixar style. That's what I would like.
Are they going to have like the 2D animation for like that kind of golden age of movies, and then have like, and then change up to like a more 3D style for like the newer Pixar-y ones and that? Like, it'll be interesting to see if how that would work.
I mean, I think personally that Disney are working on a kind of live action movie of Kingdom Hearts, and the reason why is, I think the series or the animated series is to kind of test the waters, to kind of see who's interested in seeing this and bringing new audiences to the stories of Kingdom Hearts. Disney started a few years ago making all these live action movies. Maleficent, Sleeping Beauty. There's a Little Mermaid one coming soon. They all happen to be very iconic characters within the Kingdom Hearts franchise, especially in one.
But they're all shite.
Excuse you?
All the new live action Disney movies they're making are all shit.
Aye.
So it's not exactly a selling point to be like, they're going to make a Kingdom Hearts one and all that. It's no. But they've all been shit.
I know, but like, listen to me, right? Listen, what if it's Kingdom Hearts live action movie? Say we're 5 years from now, it's like Kingdom Hearts live action movie. You've got Emma Watson as Belle. You've got Angelina Jolie as Maleficent. One of the main villains. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like you've got these big names as the big characters in the Kingdom Hearts story. Because you're right, the movies are dog shit. I couldn't even tell you who else was in the Beauty and the Beast one other than Emma Watson.
I just don't see the appeal of taking something animated and being like, let's do a live action version of that. I'm just like, okay, so you want to take something and change it to a format that's less expressive than animation is, and not as interesting to look at? Okay. And usually things that are animated are in these crazy worlds that can be really well They can look really cool in animation, but probably don't translate well to live action. So it's going to probably look horrible and not feel that real. I don't know. I just
I mean, I
don't
agree. Yeah.
I just don't understand the appeal of being like, oh, this animated thing is getting changed to live action, or that's getting a live action adaptation. Because one, I just don't think it works, and two, it's never been done good. Like. Is there ever been a single thing that has been remade or reimagined as live action that was
Absolutely.
actually
And
good?
I will tell you this right now. Dragon Ball Evolution.
Okay, hilarious.
Greatest movie ever made.
Absolute dog shit. One of the worst movies ever made. But okay.
Piccolo in that, very representative of Piccolo in the animation.
Do you know who? Do you know what's hilarious? Do you know who actually regrets that movie? The fucking director.
Everybody that worked in it.
It's fucking dog shit, man.
I mean, I get what you. It is the kind of natural evolution of things now. You know, people love member berries, but you know, rather than continuing a story and it's kind of with the potential of ruining it, you just start a new story in a different medium, whether that's a game, a film, a series. You know, I think it's just the kind of the way the world now, where everything you love will be chewed up and spat out in a different form. I mean, look at Lord of the Rings. That's getting a new remake on Amazon, which people are just really upset about absolutely everything. David.
I seen that. I've never seen Lord of the Rings, so I can't really put my 2 cents in at all about like how well this is going to be or whatever. But I've heard people apparently they finally posted a shot for the series showing some characters and like costumes and all that stuff, and apparently a lot of people are upset about the costumes. No, like the criticism I've been seeing is people saying that a lot of the costumes and shit just look like bad cosplays rather than actual like proper costumes for like a show and that. But I mean, I don't know how true that is, and I've never.
I held that argument. I've read the first book of Lord of the Rings and I've watched all the movies, and I mean, like, you play Dungeons and Dragons. You know, when you have like an elf character, you imagine them to be completely ethereal. You imagine them to be kind of larger than life, like gilded armor. You know, really fancy, detailed kind of work. And the elves or from what I've seen, the snippets from what I've seen, don't have that. You know, they don't have that kind of magnitude, which I guess, you know, like people put too much stock into the things that they like, because obviously the things that they like in their head are a completely different way than what someone else's idea, i.e. a television program. You know, it will never live up to your expectations. So I don't know, I think people just need to take, you know, when it comes to these sorts of things, see them as what they are. It's just a retelling of a story that you know. You don't need to have it, you know, crystal perfect. I mean, like, people were. This is so weird. Like, people were arguing. One of the dwarf characters, Princess Diza, I think. People were upset that she didn't have a beard because in Lord of the Rings, apparently, all dwarf women have beards.
Was that a thing that was ever like shown in the original movies or anything like that?
It was mentioned in the movies, and I think
is the dwarf guy with the fucking like, oh, take my hammer or whatever it is that like the only actual dwarf you see in the movie? Or is there other ones?
Excuse me. It's Gimli, son of Gloin.
Okay.
And it's you have my axe.
Axe, no hammer. Okay, I just
I
vaguely remembered the line from memes and stuff.
And yes, he is probably the only dwarf you see in the original trilogy. But obviously, in the subsequent prequels, you see more dwarfs.
I mean, if the lore of the world is that, or even the female dwarfs have beards, seems fitting that that's how they should portray it. But at the same time, it's also something that's not that. I don't think it would take away from the story. if they don't have a beard. So,
like,
but I could understand people being like, oh, why does she not have a beard? That's, you know, seems like something they should probably do, since that's part of how they look.
well, it's the depiction, I guess, the artist's depiction or
Yeah.
the storyteller's depiction. It would be like, I don't know, making a remake of The Wizard of Oz, but maybe having like a red brick road and the Wicked Witch of the West is blue. So
Mm.
like just weird detail changes that wouldn't really make a difference to the story, but for some reason people get really hung up. You know,
Yeah. You know,
I'm not watching that. I'm
it's
not watching.
there's an interesting thing. There's actually, I don't know how much of a problem this really is, but there is a bit of a problem with people have been talking about more in the One Piece community about people, readers who have this issue of their own personal headcanon not being fulfilled and getting upset by the fact that their personal headcanon is not being fulfilled with the new chapters and that coming out.
Yeah.
They like build up these specific characters so much about how powerful and unbeatable they are, and then when that character actually gets defeated in a way that actually is satisfying and actually makes sense and works, and they still just won't accept it, and they'll just be like, no, terrible, this is terrible, and they shouldn't have been beaten, it makes no sense, and it's just like, mate, like, just because
Yeah,
you've built
relax.
up how fucking unbelievably powerful this person is, and you yourself have built up, the manga hasn't sat there and tell you that they're completely undefeatable and just all that, and you're just going to sit there and build that up and then be sad or complain and angry about the fact that they got beat. It's like, you've done it to yourself.
Yeah,
Like,
and you know, like the stories you love, they don't owe you shit.
aye,
They don't owe you the ending that you want. You know,
it's crazy, man.
I mean,
It's,
like if say they made Kingdom Hearts, like they did make a live action Kingdom Hearts movie or whatever, and I don't know, Riku had blonde hair instead of grey. What, realistically, what does that change? Or you know, if you know, Kyrie's isn't Japanese.
if Carrie actually does something useful for once.
You know, if Donald actually heals him in the fucking in battle in the movie, you know, you're not going to sit there and go, you know, that's not the Kingdom Hearts I remember, and I will partake in none of this.
Ugh,
It's
aye.
weird. I mean, like Halo's now getting a TV series as well.
Mm.
I think it's just a way of things now, where it either lives long enough to become a game or dies short enough to become a movie or a TV series. It's just the way of the world, I think.
Aye. Everything has to get changed into every medium to make as much money as possible.
Everything really is just an industry these days, and you know, I think not a lot of artists, because I think there are a lot of artists out there that work in, you know, love projects and personal projects and that shows, but I think a lot of companies literally seek to build an industry off a game, a movie, whatever it is. It's not just like, oh, we're happy that we had a very successful popular TV show or movie. It's that we want the successful popular TV show movie. We want the sequels to be popular. We want it, you know, we want to create an industry for it.
It's that issue that fucking happened around the Marvel. Marvel was having such a successful cinematic universe that fucking Warner Brothers and DC both were so desperate to be in that same to have that same success and having a cinematic universe of some kind that they didn't seem to put in the work to actually make it good. They just
Yeah,
wanted to have it be a thing.
they
But
rushed
people
it.
immediately, after like one or two movies, were just like, this is shite though.
hmm Like
Okay.
it's not even fan service. It's you've served me a lukewarm movie.
It's just like, why? I don't want this to be a cinematic universe because it's just gonna be mere shite movies.
Exactly.
It's like,
That's the
oh,
thing. Like, not everything has to have an expanded universe or a multiverse, and I feel like that's, you know, I've seen I seen a thing the other day, and it was like people calling for a crossover movie between 21 Jump Street and Men in Black.
Can you
And I'm
hold that
like,
thought real quick? Because I really need to take a shite. And I've been trying to hold it in, but it's no going to
wowie,
hold in much longer. So I'm just going to go shite real quick and hold
you,
that thought, and I'll be back.
and we're on break.
Alright, I'll be as quick as I can.
I will just check my emails. Very rude, I would say.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that.
You're back from outer space with that
Aye.
sad look upon your face.
Should have
Comfortable?
changed. Aye, should have changed that stupid lock. Should have threw away the key.
If you had known for just 1 second that you would be back to bother me.
Go on now, go. Walk out the door.
So I was just saying, people are calling for like a crossover between 21 Jump Street and MIB, and I've never seen 21 Jump Street, but
I've neither actually.
you know, I don't understand why people can't let things die. Why do things need to be continued and crossed over and
Aye.
remade and regurgitated? And I don't know, it just feels like there's no kind of original stories.
I don't even get that. Like, isn't 21 Jump Street a comedy about two cops that go undercover as students in a high school or something? What the fuck does that have to do with Men in Black?
I think the people want the
Like,
premise of like they go undercover in MIB and they somehow manage to do it.
it's
You know, like
just
it's
insane.
just, as I say, it's MIB doesn't need another flaming heap of garbage coming at it, and
True.
I don't particularly care for 21 Jump Street.
I mean, to be fair, Men in Black's only really had one good film, and then
Hmm.
two other ones that were maybe kind of okay-ish at best. And
Yeah,
then I've heard the newest one isn't great, so.
yeah. The newest one is it's just weird. Like I think with the newest one, they were just like, right, how can we bring MIB to that place for filming, or how can we, do you know what was the best incarnation of Men in Black?
Hmm.
The animated series.
You
I
know,
loved that.
I never actually seen the animated series.
The animated series was, I just loved it. It was like this 90s kind of, it was just like dead shadowy, and I just liked it.
Hmm.
And obviously with the animations, like as you said earlier, like with animation, you can express things a lot clearer and a lot better.
Aye. I mean, I
And
feel
then,
like when you have like, if you have like outlandish, crazy ideas for shows, I think it works better in animation,
mhm,
you know?
yeah, definitely. Because like with Men in Black, the animated series, the aliens were just very. They looked just really organic. They did look like aliens as opposed to like just CGI.
Aye. And they could go so much crazy. Like I saying, with animation, you can do crazy shit
Hmm.
without like needing to worry about how the special effects are going to look and you
Hmm.
know.
And finding the right props or
Aye.
the right scales and stuff. Yeah, but if I was to give any advice to all the kind of media creators out there, is come up with something different and just original. I'm so sick of seeing like the hero's journey.
Mm.
That tired old story. I'm so tired of seeing superhero movies. I'm tired of like shitty little sci-fis that are like, oh, you were in a simulation the whole time. Like the last good movie I saw that was, in fact, it wasn't even original because it was based in a book. So there you go. There wasn't a last original movie I seen. There has been none.
What is your absolute least favorite like trope? Yeah, like
In a
movies or
movie,
TV show. Movies are like TV shows or anything, really. Like your least favorite trope that you see, and as soon as you see it, and you know that's what it's happening, you're just like, oh, that's fucking annoying. Okay.
I've got many. But one I probably just really just aggravates the tit out of me because you're basically treating your audience as stupid.
Hmm.
Is double dates or double booked for things.
Uh,
Like, oh, I've told person A I'm going to meet them at 8 o'clock, and I've also told person B I'm going to meet them at 8 o'clock. Oh my God, what am I going to do? Maybe have a better hold on your life. Or organize it better, maybe. It's just weird to me, like these classic tropes that you get in sitcoms and stuff like that. You know, when you apply real life logic to it, it doesn't work out. But I'm so tired of that. Who's doing that?
uh,
Who's booking things, two completely different things at completely different sides of the city or the town or whatever at the same time?
it's not even realistic at all.
It's like it just basically is a lazy way of writing to create a situation for like tension or funny or whatever it is. It's just lazy. Personally, I find it.
For me,
What about
it's
you?
the liar reveal story that happens in
Mhm.
so many things. The whole story of the main character has some lie or secret about
Mm.
something, and it's always the same story flow of it gets revealed, the other characters get upset at them, then they leave, and then you spend a portion of the movie with them being upset with each other and no doing whatever it is they need to be doing, and
Mhm.
them hating each other, and then they come together, and then mere like something like mere fucking context gets shown for like the lie or secret or whatever, and it's like, oh, we were wrong, or oh, we just or oh, we just forgive you or whatever, and then they all become happy again, and it's like it never
Mhm.
happened, and it's just so fucking tiring. So many
That is
movies
so
do it.
tiring. Mhm.
And as soon as it happens, as soon as I see it, as soon as I'm watching a movie or a show where some lie like that happens, and I'm immediately like, I know the rest of the story. I know what's going to happen
Aye.
now. I know that
Mhm.
they're going to find out this lie, and then they're going to react in this way, and then they're going to spend X amount of time being upset, and then it's just going to randomly get forgiven or given more context to make it no as bad as it was, and then everything will
Yeah.
be back to the way it was, and it would have just been a fucking waste of time. Just don't have it. There's
Mhm.
no need for it.
I mean, like, there's a lot of like TV and stuff like that, like that I just literally cannot watch these days, and it's for stuff like that. You know, you watch the first 5 minutes, and you know, or you get the cliches, and it's like, as you say, it's like a lie, and like it's a whole series. It's 10 hours dedicated to revealing this one lie.
Uh, and
You're
you
like,
know,
no,
it's just,
I don't have the time.
the worst thing is, a lot of the time it's something that's not even that big of a deal. That if you just
No,
immediately said it, they'd be like, "Oh, okay." But
it's fine.
but because it's something that's hidden, it becomes this whole big situation that's worse and worse. You know what I mean? It's like it's always some stupid misunderstanding that could have easily just been like dealt with immediately, and it wouldn't have caused any problems. And any normal person would have like,
On it.
said it, would have been like, oh no, well this is actually the case immediately, and then there wouldn't have been any problems. But no, for the sake of the story, they have to fucking lie about something that needs no lying about, and then it just becomes a whole problem. And it's such a tiring story trope, man.
Mhm.
I hate it so much.
As I say, there's just so many tropes out there that I just can't get my head around. Like that, you know, it's because it's familiar. People like seeing something that's familiar.
Yeah.
When you know, people don't watch a movie because they want their ideas challenged. They want to watch a movie because they want like a feel good story of love. And you know, you can't have the feel good story of love without the all is lost moment when they're maybe not getting together.
That's one of the reasons I fucking. I think that's one of the reasons that I was hated or had no interest in watching like any movies or shows that were like about like romance and stuff, because
Mhm.
it was I was that it was there was
Yep.
always the same tropes and shit every single
Yep.
time, and it just was like, why would I want to watch the same story basically a million times?
With just different actors in a different setting.
Aye, and it's just like
I
it's
don't get it.
the
Like,
the shit that they do and the kind of romance stories where it's always some stupid misunderstanding
mhm.
that happens, and it's like, oh, this could be completely resolved if the guy just went, "Here, hold on, actually, this is the context of this thing that you saw that you're completely misunderstanding," and then she's
Yep.
like, okay, that makes sense. Okay, I guess I fucking overreacted, or you know, I judged too
ill-informed,
quickly the
whatever it is.
situation, and it's like, okay,
Yeah.
no, it's stop. But instead, it's like, no, I can't possibly listen to what you're going to say that would completely recontextualize the
Mhm.
situation and fix this problem. I am now going to go and spend a third of the movie being upset at you and hating you for really no reason.
Mhm.
And it's just like, oh, great, what an original story
Like
that's never happened.
sometimes I feel like a really, really miserable cunt because I'm like, how can people enjoy this? Like, how can people sit and have their brain numbed for an hour and a half with something that they could have literally wrote? You like, I have, like, go to a writing class, they'll tell you the formula on how to write a story, and you'll write that, I guarantee it. You know,
Aye, aye.
I just wish that, I feel like there was a time when, there was just like a lot of like good stories out there, like good original stories. Um, and it's just no like that anymore. There's nothing new under the sun, as they say. It's just the way that it's going, especially media. Like, as I say, it's like a cycle. If you're a book, you get made into a movie or a TV show, and then you get made into a game or you get made into whatever. It's just, I don't get it.
Aye.
Game of Thrones, that was the same. Like, that was books, and then it was this, and 50 Shades of Grey started off as a Twilight fan fiction. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a book from a book, with a kind of similar story, but with different assets essentially.
Somehow the fanfic of a terrible book became successful.
hmm It's weird. Like, I never, and then it got made into movies.
Yeah.
You know what? That's what kind of just really turns me off to like cinema these days and TV and Netflix and all that. Is just that, like, the stuff that I'm watching, I've seen, and I don't feel like I need to spend another 10 hours of my life watching stuff I've seen.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Like Annihilation, that's the movie I was going to bring up. Like, the first movie I'd seen in a long time. That I was just kind of like, wow, this is a movie like no other. Um,
I'm pretty sure. I think I seen a fucking post about that the day earlier, where
did
somebody
you?
was talking about how that was like one of the best. They were like basically were saying that it's like this is one of the best like movies they'd seen in like so long, and how
Yeah.
amazing it was. I feel like I remember seeing bits of it when it came out,
hmm
but I don't think I actually sat and watched the whole thing. Was that the show that had that fucking crazy bear creature in it that was like, or was that something
Aye,
else? Oh, that was
aye.
it.
So in
I remember that.
Annihilation, aye, there was like this wild bear animal kind of thing. Uh, what I really liked about Annihilation, and this is my advice to media creators or whatever, is in Annihilation it presented itself at the very start with a problem. They had no idea what it was. They had no idea how to define it. They were literally just going through the motions of its effect.
Mm.
That was the whole movie. The whole movie was, there's that thing there. We don't know what it is. We can't control it. It's acting weird, and the only thing that we can really do is just experience it. So the story wasn't them. America, choppers in, bombs dropped, mission over. It was, how on earth are we going to live through the changes that's happening? Like, from a story standpoint,
Mm.
it just asked a lot of, or it just asked a lot of questions from a story standpoint, and it also as like as characters going through something, it just seemed very natural.
I'll need to watch it because I've heard so many good things about it, and it was just one of the things that I'm like I should probably watch that at some point. I just never got into it.
It's a really good movie. It's probably one of my favorite movies ever. It's what made me buy the books.
Hmm. I'll need to get on that.
So yeah, with Miss Natalie Portman,
Oh,
Oscar Isaac, the music in it as well. Like, everything about that movie was crafted for the movie. Like nothing was phoned in. Like the music, every beat of the music it just goes with the movie. The visuals are absolutely outstanding. Yeah, you better watch it.
I will put it on my list of things to watch, I guess.
It's a very the story's great. Like, I can't hype it up enough, but the story's brilliant. The actors are brilliant, but it's a very visually like beautiful movie to watch. Like the do you want the premise? Do you understand the premise?
I don't remember much about it. I remember I seen a wee bit of it because I think when it came out on Netflix, I think like Frank was watching it, and I think I was sitting and I seen some of it, but I wasn't really paying much attention to it because I just wasn't. I think I just wasn't interested because I didn't know what it was or anything like that. But I remember seeing bits of it, but I don't really remember much because it was a few years ago. So,
well, the premise is Natalie Portman has been commandeered for a mission, and it's a mission inside what they're calling the Shimmer, which is this iridescent bubble that's spawned from this meteorite hit. And everything that goes into the Shimmer stays in the Shimmer. Nothing's ever came out of the Shimmer. And what they find is that when you're in the Shimmer, it has an effect. There's something going on. And it's just really good. The books as well. I really enjoyed the books. I wish we could talk about it. I wish you'd seen it because I wish we could talk about it because it's like a fascinating kind of story.
I'll maybe I could try and maybe watch it for next week's podcast and we could talk about
it. There's a lot of ideas in it that are really good to talk about, I think.
Aye.
Like military versus science, man-made versus natural. It's it's all there. It's got all the beats.
I will have to give it a watch, and then maybe on a later podcast we can actually maybe talk about it with it spoilers. Well, way spoilers. I mean, it came out in 2018, so like, not exactly going to sit there and be like, if you've not seen it, just don't listen until you've seen it, or if whatever, or go watch it.
Or go watch it so we can all talk about it together and enjoy that. What are you having for dinner tonight?
I have absolutely no idea.
You never know.
I never know.
I don't know what it's like to live such a vicarious life. Like, I wake up in the morning and the first thing I think about is what I'm having for dinner. Alan hates it. He's like, I haven't even had breakfast yet, I'm not even thinking about dinner.
I fucking I decide what I'm going to eat when I'm hungry. Like like I've said before, occasionally I'll have a what would you call it, a craving for a specific thing. But a lot of the time I'm just like, I'm hungry. What if I go in there? I'll go look and be like, I'll have this. Like, that's about it.
Just what you fancy in the moment.
I'm kind of hungry now. I did get paid today, so I might get myself a wee takeaway of some kind.
You should treat yourself.
Maybe have a wee look at the Just Eat menus and see what I fancy.
Do you know what I remembered? This is hilarious, right? You know how last week we spoke about getting a chippy?
Aye, on Friday.
On the podcast, we spoke about getting a chippy, and then we never got a chippy.
Aye. I remember I said that to Frank after you left. I was kind of raging. John was saying he was going to get a chippy, and then he never did.
do you want to know the worst of it? I transferred you the money, and just forgot to bring it up.
Wait, did you?
Seriously, I transferred you money, and I was like, right, that's money for the chippy, and Rid I'll say to Rid to order it. I think I was outside or something like that. And then when I came back in, I just totally forgot to bring it up again. And it wasn't until I got home where I was like, oh, I've no it.
I've not checked. I've not like actually looked at my bank stuff for a wee while. I checked. I went on my account last night to see that I'd been paid, but all I did was like look at the actual balance. I didn't look at any like history stuff.
Listen, I'm not looking for it back. The next time I'm up, you'll buy me a chippy, and that's that.
I'm just curious if that's actually how did I not even notice that? Let me see. Transactions.
Should have been last week.
Oh, aye. Just pure 20 quid just sent for you randomly. What the fuck? I didn't even get I usually get a notification which people like send me when like payments and stuff go out of that because I'm logged in on like mobile banking. I usually get a notification for stuff, but I don't think I got one for it.
It just wasn't meant to be.
What the fuck? Guy, because if I seen the notification for it, I would have been like, John, why'd you send me that? And you would have been like, oh, I chip it.
For the money?
And I would have been like, alright, let's order it. But we just, fuck's sake. I guess next time you're up, I'll just order a chip and get whatever you want, I guess. What the fuck?
I'll be expecting interest on that £20. But yeah, I totally forgot. It was so weird. Like, I think we went in, when Alan picked me up, he's like, oh, what'd you have for dinner? And I thought, oh, I've not had dinner. And then I remembered that I'd like transferred you the money, and I'm like, I'm an idiot.
Christ.
I'm just an idiot. I think I went home and had like a bit of toast or something.
Aye. Fuck's sake, man.
Well, that 20 quid's better in your pocket, because if I've got it, it'll probably just get thrown at the vet. You know,
she'll rob you.
She'll rob me blind. But that's probably a good time to call it quits. I'm going to have my dinner. I'm going to make some pork belly, and then I'm going to have a wee fire outside since it's a nice wee crisp cold night.
That sounds lovely.
Be enjoying myself.
That sounds lovely.
What are you doing tonight?
I'll probably sit in my stuffy room and have stuff my face with greasy food and play fucking Pokemon. Like an absolute degenerate.
There's worse ways to spend your time.
Yeah.
Hey, you could do a remake, a fucking anything, you know?
True.
But I'm going to go, and I'm going to get my dinner and relax. But thanks for listening, viewers. Listening to us talk about how Americans just sell, just complete salesmen, how nothing's original under the sun.
Right.
And how Rid can't even hold in a pool long enough to film a full podcast.
That's my response to that.
Well, I'm not surprised.
That's just how it is.
It is what it is.
You gotta go when you gotta go, man.
I mean, hey, time waits for no man, and apparently neither do your bills.
Exactly.
Thanks for listening, guys, and we'll speak to you next week.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye.